Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. Yes, I'm back. Day late and a dollar short as usual, but I'm back. So, yeah, World of Warships. Those of you who've been playing World of Warships for a while will almost certainly have noticed that, in common with World of Tanks, once you start getting up to the higher tiers, and we're talking tier 8, 9 and 10 here, actually grinding out the experience required to unlock those higher tier vehicles isn't fantastically difficult. But gathering the credits required to purchase them, yeah, that's a different matter. With a tier 10 ship coming in for something in the region of 20 million credits each, it can take a fair old bit of serious grinding to actually earn the credits required to buy the ships that you've unlocked. In fact, in some cases, I've unlocked a tier 8 ship and then actually ground out enough free experience to buy, or rather unlock, the tier 9 ship that follows it before I've even accumulated the credits required to buy the tier 8 in the first place. And when it comes to economic flags that you can use to boost the amount of credits that you earn during the course of a battle, or reduce the costs associated with returning to port after the end of a battle, you're not exactly spoilt for choice. Well, as part of World of Warships' 3rd anniversary, there are now some new special economic signal flags that you can use to drastically boost the amount of credits that you earn when you're playing World of Warships. And the MarketGardener here, in the USS Missouri, is flying pretty much all of them. Now, of course, the good old Mighty Mo, the BB-63, Das Trumpwagen, has always been a bit of a credit-earning monster in the first place. But when you accompany that with the judicious application of a couple of these economic flags, the amount of money that this ship is capable of earning in a good battle is quite frankly disgusting. And the MarketGardener here is going to demonstrate.
Enemy force sighted on the horizon.
No, there isn't. Oh, there is. It's the Worcester up there to the northwest. He's outside of render range, however. Meanwhile, if everybody could press F to pay respects to Gorilla Zilla, poor guy in a stock tier 8 Amagi battleship in this tier 10 battle, who, if you can believe what he's saying in chat, has had nothing but tier 10 battles since he bought his stock Amagi. But while we're on the subject of rendering issues, this is something that they just never really seem to have gotten around to fixing. There, Iowa just popped up on the map, in shooting range, in view range, renders for about a quarter of a second, despite the fact that he is still visible on the map and should be rendered in view range, but nope. This is an issue that is taking far too long to fix. You see the target on the map, your guns are pointing in the right direction, you're aimed at the target, but you just can't see it to shoot. So he's just going to have to satisfy himself by firing a couple of 16-inch shells at that nice broadsiding Isimo instead. And then we see it again. He's already got the guns pointing in the general direction of the Buffalo over there, because the Buffalo rendered on the map a good 3 or 4 seconds before he was actually visible in the game world. But he had the guns pointing, he managed to get the rear turret firing, with substantially better results this time, scoring a Citadel on the Buffalo, as the Buffalo gets a little bit of revenge there. But he's up to 20,000 damage, and the enemy gearing has been spotted. And speaking of which, here's another issue, particular to destroyers this time. Okay, 5,400 damage? Seems like a lot, but he did actually hit the gearing a lot. Those were all over-penetrations. Now, an over-penetration does the minimum damage. He only did as much damage because he got so many over-penetrations on the gearing. And that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. What's pissing destroyer captains off, however, is when a 16 or 18-inch armor-piercing shell hits something as badly armoured as a destroyer and should over-penetrate and pass all the way through, but instead the fuse arms and does full damage. The only conceivable circumstances where a large caliber armor-piercing shell should arm when it hits a target as badly armoured as that is if it hits in the bows or the stern and travels the full length of the ship, which none of those did, but 2 of them still armed and did a colossal amount of damage to the gearing. Now, the gearing was actually sunk by that Shimakaze over there, who managed to finish him off with his guns. Of course, firing his guns gave his position away. I don't know if the gearing actually had eyes on him or not at the time, but regardless, firing his guns has made him visible, to an enemy Yamato, Izumo, Iowa, Rune, Buffalo, and he isn't aware of it just yet, but he will be very, very soon, also a Kitakaze. And just look at all of those lovely battleship torpedo targets. And he has fired torpedoes, but they know he's there because he fired his guns, and they're already taking steps to avoid the inevitable torpedoes. MarketGardener shots out of the Yamato, rewarded with more citadels. Shimakaze now dumping his own smokescreen. Enemy ships still visible, however. Of course, so is MarketGardener. Izumo didn't avoid all of the torpedoes, but of the 15 fired at him, only 2 hit. Kitakaze closing in on the Shimakaze, who is doomed. I've seen these new Japanese gunboats taking out tier 10 light cruisers in gunfights. Yeah. Now, I don't know how much of that was down to the skill of the Japanese gunboat captain, and lack of skill of the British and American tier 10 light cruiser captains, but still, destroyers taking out cruisers in gunfights. Of course, you know that the Japanese destroyer captain had at least a 14-point captain in order to make that practical. And people do say that these are very, very good Japanese gunboats. Well, I challenge anybody to say that after playing one of these things with a 3-point captain, because I think if that was the case, your opinion might change slightly. This is something I do try to take into account when I'm... Ooh, ouch. Yeah, that's never going to polish out. Oh, first kill. Well done. And no longer spotted, which is really, really bad news for those two. Because unless I'm very much mistaken, they are spotted. Yep, there goes one. Yeah. Anyway, yes, this is something that I do try to take into account when I'm reviewing a new ship, because not everybody has 15, 14, 19-point captains lying around that they can quickly transfer to a new ship whenever they buy it. Typically, what people tend to do is they have one very, very highly skilled captain within any given ship line, and then a bunch of progressively less skilled captains. Oh great, he's now completely alone on this flank, by the way, just in case it wasn't obvious, but the Cyclone is closing in. Even though he is visible at the moment, he probably shouldn't stay visible for too long. But anyway, yep, going back to the example, say for example you have a 6-point captain on your Furutaka, and then you unlock the Auber. You move the captain up to the Auber, and then you buy a new captain for the Furutaka, and then you unlock the Miyoko, and you repeat the process. And you repeat the process on the Mogami, the Ibuki, and then eventually by the time you've got the Zhao, you've probably got a 14 or 15-point captain for it. But the captains of the receding ships, because they've all been replacements, don't have quite as many skill points. So not everybody has 14, 15, 19-point captains available to lavish on new ships when they get them. Oh, good shot, sir. So I do try to take that into account when I'm reviewing a new ship. And these new Japanese gunboat destroyers, they're all right with a 10-point captain. They're very good with a 14-point captain, and they're unbelievable with a 19-point captain. But not everybody has 10, 14, or 19-point captains. In fact, I know a lot of people, when they get themselves a new ship, all they do is they blow 25 gold on a 3-point captain. So, yeah, I challenge anybody to play the Kitakaze or the Harugamo with a 3-point captain, without Concealment Expert, without Inertia Fuse High Explosive Shells, hell, without even Superintendent. And then tell me how good you think these two new ships are. I suspect the answer will be not very. I'll tell you something else I've noticed, and it's peculiar to World of Warships. Amongst wargaming titles, only World of Warships seems to suffer from this particular phenomenon. When I was streaming at Gamescom on the weekend, I took out my Hindenburg once the lag had settled down, and it was my very first game in the Hindenburg, and I'd forgotten to equip premium consumables. I was in a rush to play the ship, but I just forgot. Anybody who knows me will not be surprised to hear that I forgot to equip the correct, because it is apparently the correct thing to do. Well, ooh, hang on a second. Hello, Mr. Yamato. It's... oh, this is going to be a paddling. This is very, very definitely going to be a paddling. Yep, paddling confirmed. And could have been substantially worse. And no longer detected. Hooray for the Cyclone and reduced visibility. But anyway, yes, premium consumables in World of Warships. It's bizarre, because if I feature a World of Tanks replay where somebody has nothing but premium consumables, all the comments are calling him a tryhard. dirty, filthy, try-hard wallet warrior. But if anybody catches you in World of Warships not running premium consumables, you're not trying hard enough. It's really weird. But anyway, I just thought I'd mention it because, well, it amuses me. Anyway, visibility down to 8 kilometers. And that's going to make things interesting, because under normal circumstances this would be suicide. Up to the north there's an Izumo and an Iowa. That we know of. Down to the south, there's a Yamato. You can see that the Zhao is in view range of the Izumo, and probably also the Iowa. But the MarketGardener is not. And the Missouri has radar, and using the radar, he is able to deliver a comprehensive paddling to the Izumo without being spotted, despite the fact that he's less than 10 kilometers away. And it's the same deal here with the Yamato. If not for the cyclone reducing visibility to 8 kilometers, he'd probably be dead now, driving into a crossfire showing broadside to an Izumo and a Yamato at the same time. That would be asking for a paddling of biblical proportions. Thanks to the cyclone and clever use of his radar, he's not only getting away with it, he's up to 135,000 damage. Of course, the cyclone isn't going to last forever, and as soon as visibility starts clearing, well, he's within 10 kilometers of a Yamato, and so he's heading towards the Izumo in an effort to finish this guy off as quickly as possible. Now he's spotted, of course. He's within 8 kilometers of the Izumo, which means while the Yamato can't actually see him, because he's more than 8 kilometers away from him, and he's killed the Izumo, the Yamato is taking some mostly blind shots at him, using that pesky little aiming circle on the minimap that was implemented in the last patch, and just positioning it over the icon of his ship on the map. So the Izumo, despite being the only enemy ship that could actually see him, did no damage, and the Yamato, despite not actually being able to see him, did. And I'm guessing it was pretty much all down to that little aiming circle that was implemented onto the minimap in the last patch for World of Warships. The Yamato just put the aiming circle right ahead of the Missouri's icon on the minimap and pulled the trigger. And he's going to do it again, because the enemy Zhao has just blundered within 8 kilometers. He's ready to fire, but the Zhao is turning. So he holds his fire until he's got the broadside to shoot at. And the Yamato, firing blind, does it again, although this time he misses. Oh, and there's the Stocker Margi, who was complaining in chat at the start of the game about constantly getting into tier 10 battles, and while you can certainly sympathise, it's not nearly as bad as it is in World of Tanks, not in World of Warships at least. Because you'll never find yourself in a game of World of Warships where you are just not capable of doing any damage to an enemy ship. You may find yourself in situations where the enemy ships are reliably and consistently able to do large amounts of damage to you because you're in a Namagi with a stock hull, for example, but you are always able to do damage to them. Not something that you can always say about World of Tanks, particularly if there's a Panzer IIJ, yours for only €100 on the enemy team. Now, going back to that rendering issue, while it can be annoying that you know there's an enemy ship there because they're within view range, they're within shooting range, you can see them on the map, but they haven't actually rendered into the game world yet, sometimes, not often, but sometimes it does work to your advantage as well. There's a buffalo coming around that corner, and I don't know how much attention he was paying to his minimap, but the MarketGardener was watching his. And so MarketGardener unleashes a dose of freedom that even a ship with that camo scheme, well, that's more freedom than even he could handle. Now that Yamato is not going to be too far behind him, and in fact the only reason he can't already see him, although he can now, is because he was on the far side of the island. So yeah, a Yamato is a substantially tougher customer than a buffalo. Or he would be, if he'd learned his lesson about not sailing broadside on from the paddling that the MarketGardener delivered to him earlier. Because there's an even bigger paddling. And there's the high caliber award and 229,000 damage done. Now then, little tip for you fact fans, Yamato captains, please forgive me. You can actually citadel a Yamato from the front without 18-inch guns, even if the Yamato is nosing in towards you. there is a spot in the armour at precisely this angle, that spot right there, almost exactly where the MarketGardener's guns are aimed, at this precise moment. Because of the way the armour is formed on the Yamato, it bulges out around the middle, and then as it narrows towards the bows, it forms an almost sort of concave shape, which means that at this angle, that armour facing is actually 100% flat and broadside, and right on the other side of it is an ammunition hoist. He may not be aware of it, but if the MarketGardener was to fire right now, he would probably citadel that Yamato. Then again, why take chances? He has to wait a couple of seconds, he's got his broadside, and he can citadel him anyway. But now it's on. It's an Iowa-class battleship against a full-health Iowa-class battleship. This should be no contest, particularly because the USS Iowa over there is making exactly the same mistake that the Yamato just did. And it didn't work out too well for the Yamato. He's on more or less full health. He's not going to stay that way for long. The MarketGardener aiming at almost exactly the same spot on the Iowa that he did on the Yamato, and rewarded with a further 2 citadels. 275,000 damage. The rear turrets are ready to swing around. No citadels this time, but the Iowa so intent on bringing his guns to bear on the MarketGardener, paying no attention whatsoever to the Zhao torpedoes, which were in fact what sank him. So the MarketGardener, with one ship left alive on the enemy team, has done 282,000 damage and tanked over 2 million damage as well. The only ship left is the Tier 9 German cruiser, the Rune. And he could still win. It's not likely, but it's possible, because his team controls 3 of the caps, and the difference in points between the 2 teams is not that big. He doesn't have much of a chance, but he's going to have no chance whatsoever if he continues to fire his guns and give his position away, rather than scuttling away into one corner of the map and hiding behind an island until the game times out. At which point, thanks to the fact that he controls 3 of the cap circles, his team would probably have a points lead and win. Of course, he'd have to stay alive for the next 4 minutes in order to do that, and that's not going to be easy, particularly since the cyclone is lifting. So he doesn't have that 8-kilometer visibility to aid him in avoiding detection. Of course, you're never going to avoid detection if you keep firing your guns at enemy ships, but to be completely fair to the Rune, he's probably sitting there right now thinking, well, we've lost this one, so I may as well just farm as much damage as possible before my inevitable death and defeat. Which probably explains why he's given broadside to, well, pretty much everybody. He's trying to get as many of his guns firing as possible before he dies. But he is going to die, and it's just a question of whether or not the MarketGardener can improve on his 282,000 damage done. He's got some shots in the air. Oh, they don't look too bad. Yep, not bad at all. He's not going to get the kill, though. It's going to be the Zhao who gets him, and the MarketGardener is just going to have to settle for a Kraken Unleashed, and 289,500 damage done. But this one isn't really about the damage done, although that is certainly a factor in the ridiculously large number that you're about to see. This one's about the credits earned, and those new economic signals, and of course the fact that the MarketGardener is in a Missouri. How much money do you think he made out of this battle? He broke 1 million. I mean, obviously, I've done 1 million in the Missouri with only 60,000 damage done. 2 million? Yeah, he broke 2 million. 3 million? Oh yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, he wasn't that far short of 3.7 million. Now, I don't know if that's a record, but it might be. These new economic credit boost flags haven't been around for very long. And it's not enough to buy yourself a new Tier 10 ship, but it is enough to buy you a brand new Bayern Tier 6 German battleship from one game played. And before you ask, no, you can't buy the Missouri anymore. And this is probably why. Of course, I've got one, so I don't really care. Anyway, the MarketGardener, thank you very much for sending that game in. Everybody else, I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.
We win the game. I think I've angered the raid boss. Hey, not bad. 5 kills, 716 damage. We did it. We did fire some premium rounds though. There. Oh my God! Paul! 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 I told Jingles. Oh, wait a minute. Give Jingles Tanya's mic. Okay, dude, you should be able to hear me now as well.
Thanks, Peppy. Mission accomplished.
Oh my God, dude, you scared me. I just had to gold noob against like a tier 3 tank.
Disgusting.
But I'm doing a Tech Tree showcase right now, and 2 ace tankers at tier 1 and tier 2, so it's not bad.
That's fine.
But what? Let's see the. Oh, what?
Wow.
No, I guess I Oh, I've got some left over from when I was really gold noobing in the tank.
So it's reloading from your... Yeah.
Loading for cheap. So I probably spent about 30k or something.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Hey, dude, do you want to do the next tank?
Oh, I was going to go get something to eat.
Okay,
I've been doing this for 5 hours now.
It sounds like you've earned a snack.
Hey, when during the middle of that serious DDoS, whatever it was,
Yeah.
when lag was spiking up to 1500
Yeah.
milliseconds, I couldn't even see what was shooting at me, and I got a kill.
What, you would just use the force, did you?
I was like, I think there's something over there. I'm hammering the fire button, and then eventually the guns go off, and then we sunk an enemy cruiser. I had no idea what it was.
Dude, are you hanging around after the event ends today, or are you gone?
No, we leave tomorrow, so we're still around tonight. I think we're off out with Conway to a brow house.
Oh, you shouldn't have said that. They can hear you.
It's all right. There are thousands. This is Cologne. There are thousands of brow houses.
Yeah, there's thousands of Jingles as well. Lots. We're going to put some disguises out with beards, right, and hoodies.
That will work.
Sounds good.
There's
Right.
my mate Roy. He's like about 3 feet taller than me, built like a racing snake, but he has a bald head, a white beard, and glasses. So people walk around Tankfest, follow him around, saying, "Are you the Jingles?"
He's the backup Jingles.
Yeah, he's actually got a T-shirt now where it just says Rick Jingles Stunt Double.
Rip.
Anyway,
Dude, I'll catch up with you later, yeah?
yes, I'm off ski. See you, Peppy.
Pleasure, Paul.
Bye.
If for some reason you don't know who that very distinguished gentleman is, that is, of course, the mighty Jingles.